That night in the garden, while the disciples slept, Jesus knelt on the cold earth and did something no gospel ever recorded. He did not pray. He did not weep. He drew 5 lines in the dirt with his finger. Slowly, deliberately, each one forming a symbol older than the temple itself. And then he whispered something. Not to God, not to the heavens, but to you. The Roman soldiers were already on their way. The torches flickered through the olive trees. Time was running out, and yet in those final moments, before everything changed, Jesus chose to leave behind a message that was never meant for the crowds, never meant for the priests, never meant for history books. It was meant for the ones who would find it thousands of years later, the ones who would feel the weight of this world pressing down on them and wonder why they never quite fit in. The ones who would stumble upon this video, not by accident, but by a pull they cannot explain. If you are watching this right now, that pull brought you here. What I am about to share with you has been buried for nearly 2,000 years, hidden in fragments of texts that the early church burned, scattered across scrolls that were sealed in clay jars and forgotten in desert caves. Pieces of a puzzle that were never supposed to be reassembled, but they were. And tonight, you are going to see the complete picture. Each of those 5 lines Jesus drew corresponds to a seal, not a physical seal, a frequency lock placed on human consciousness by forces that have kept this world in spiritual darkness since the beginning. The Gnostic texts call these forces the Archons, and they don't want you to know what these 5 lines mean. Because the moment you understand them, the moment you trace them within your own being, something begins to crack. Something that has held you in patterns of fear and limitation and forgetting for longer than you realize. Tonight you break the first seal. To understand what Jesus drew that night, you first need to understand the world he was trying to free us from. Not the Roman Empire, not the corruption of the temple, something far older, something that most people never see, because it operates beneath the surface of everything we call reality. The ancient Gnostics knew about this. They wrote about it in texts that were deliberately destroyed, buried, and erased from history. But in 1945, a farmer in Egypt stumbled upon a sealed jar in the caves of Nag Hammadi. Inside were 13 leather-bound codices, gospels, and teachings that had been hidden for over 1,600 years. And what they revealed changed everything we thought we knew about the world. According to these texts, the universe we inhabit is not what it appears to be. This is not the creation of the true source. The infinite consciousness that the Gnostics called the monad, the original light, did not build this realm of matter and suffering. Something else did. A being they called the demiurge, a blind architect who mistakenly believed himself to be the only god. And beneath him, serving his design, are the Archons. Think of the Archons as frequency governors. They do not control you through chains or walls. They control you through patterns, through thought loops that feel like your own, through emotions that spike without reason, through a constant static in your mind that keeps you from ever truly becoming still enough to remember what you are. And here is what the church never wanted you to know. Jesus did not come to establish a religion. He came to break the system. He came to hand humanity the keys to escape a prison that most people do not even realize they are in. But he could not say this openly. The Archons have ears everywhere. They operate through institutions, through dogma, through anything that creates fear and division. So Jesus taught in parables, in symbols, in hidden gestures that only those with eyes to see would recognize. The 5 lines he drew that night were the most dangerous thing he ever transmitted, because each line is a frequency disruptor, a pattern interrupt that targets the 5 seals the Archons place on every human soul that enters this world. Let me show you what he drew. The first line was vertical, a single stroke from the sky to the earth. And as he drew it, he spoke a word that vibrated through the fabric of reality itself. In Aramaic, the language of his heart, he said, "Ana, I am not, I am this or I am that. Just I am, pure existence without label, without limitation, without the story that the Archons spend your whole life convincing you is who you are." This first line breaks the seal of false identity. From the moment you were born, the system began building a cage around you made of names and roles and expectations. You are your job. You are your trauma. You are your failures. You are what others think of you. Layer after layer of identity wrapped around the spark of consciousness at your core until you forgot there was a spark at all. The vertical line cuts through all of it. It reconnects you to what the Gnostics called the pneuma, the divine breath that descends from the monad into the prison of matter. When you trace this line within yourself, when you speak those two words with full presence, you are declaring to the Archons that their labels have no power over you. You are not your name. You are not your history. You are the I am that was before your body and will continue after it returns to dust. But the Archons anticipated this. They knew that some would discover the first line, so they installed a second seal deeper than the first, a seal that traps you even when you begin to awaken. The second line Jesus drew was horizontal, crossing the first at its center, and with it he spoke a second phrase. Kulhan had all is one. This second line breaks the seal of separation. The greatest trick the Archons ever played was convincing you that you are alone, that you are a fragment floating in a hostile universe with no connection to anything beyond your skin. The illusion of separation is the source of all fear. Because if you are separate, you can be threatened. If you are separate, you can be lost. If you are separate, you must fight and hoard and protect because there is no greater fabric holding you. But the horizontal line reminds you of the truth. You are not a piece that broke off from the whole. You are the whole expressing itself as a piece. The same consciousness that moves through every living thing moves through you. The same monad that breathed galaxies into existence breathes through your lungs right now. When the vertical and horizontal lines cross, they form what you might recognize a shape that has been co-opted by religion and drained of its power. But before it was a symbol on church walls, it was a frequency key. The cross is not about death, it is about intersection. The meeting point of the infinite I am with the infinite all. Sky meeting earth, individual meeting collective, the eternal meeting, the present moment. Jesus drew it in the dirt because he knew it would survive in plain sight, hidden inside a symbol so familiar that no one would think to look deeper. But 2 lines were not enough. The Archons have more seals, and Jesus was not finished. Before I reveal the 3rd line, I need you to understand why this matters right now. Why this video found you today, and not a year ago or a decade from now. There is a reason you are hearing this in this moment. The texts speak of a time when the frequency of the earth itself would begin to shift, when the Archon grid would start to weaken, not because of anything external, but because enough souls would begin to remember critical mass, a tipping point, where the old patterns can no longer hold. You are living in that window. The static is getting louder because the system is straining. The chaos you see in the world, the division, the confusion, the sense that everything is accelerating towards something unknown. These are not random. They are symptoms of a frequency war. The Archons are doubling down because they feel their grip loosening. And the ones like you, the ones who never fit into the program, the ones who always sensed there was more. You are the ones this message was left for. Jesus did not draw those lines for the masses. He drew them for the pneumatics, the spirit carriers, the seeds of light buried in matter, waiting for the signal to activate. This is that signal, and tonight, you are going to receive the complete transmission, all 5 lines, all 5 seals. But more than that, you are going to understand how to activate them, not as intellectual concepts, but as living frequencies within your own being. The 3rd line is where everything changes, because the first 2 lines can be understood by the mind, but the 3rd line requires something else. It requires you to feel something that the Archons have spent centuries trying to make you forget you are capable of feeling. Before we go, let me ask you something. As you have been listening to these words, have you noticed anything in your body? A warmth in your chest, perhaps? A subtle pressure at the crown of your head? A strange feeling like something is waking up inside you, paying attention in a way it has not paid attention in a very long time. If you feel nothing, that is fine. Keep listening. But if you feel something even faint, know that it is not your imagination. It is recognition. Your pneuma recognizing the signal it has been waiting for. The part of you that existed before this life and will exist after it, stirring from a long sleep. This is exactly what Jesus intended. He did not just draw symbols. He encoded frequencies into gestures, into words, into the very shapes themselves. And those frequencies do not require belief to work. They require only presence, only stillness enough for the signal to land. The 3rd line comes next, and with it, the seal that has trapped more awakening souls than any other. The 3rd line Jesus drew was diagonal, cutting across the intersection from the upper left to the lower right. And as he traced it in the dust, he whispered, "Shbach, release. Let go." This 3rd line breaks the seal of attachment. You see, the Archons are clever. They know that some souls will discover the first 2 truths. They know that some will remember they are the I Am. They know that some will feel their connection to the All. But even those awakening souls can be recaptured through one simple mechanism: attachment to outcomes. The moment you awaken and then demand that your awakening produce specific results, you hand the keys right back to the Archons. The moment you say, "I am enlightened, so now I should have wealth, I should have perfect health, I should have the life I envision," you have stepped out of presence and back into the program. This is the trap that catches more seekers than any other spiritual materialism. Using the tools of liberation to build a more comfortable prison, the diagonal line slashes through this pattern. Release, not because the things you desire are wrong, but because your grip on them is what creates the static. Your desperate need for reality to conform to your expectations is the very frequency the Archons feed on. When you release, you do not become passive. You become fluid. You stop fighting against what is and start moving with the current of existence itself. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "Resist not evil." He was not teaching submission. He was teaching frequency mastery. The moment you stop resisting, you stop broadcasting the signal of struggle that the Archon grid locks onto. The 4th line mirrored the 3rd. Another diagonal, this time from the upper right to the lower left. Together with the 3rd line, they formed an X over the cross. And the word Jesus spoke was Holland. Transform. This 4th line breaks the seal of stagnation. The Archons want you frozen. They want you believing that change is dangerous, that transformation is painful, that who you are today is who you must be tomorrow. This is how they keep souls cycling through the same patterns, lifetime after lifetime. Fear of change, addiction to the familiar, even when the familiar is suffering. But the fourth line activates what the alchemists later called the great work, the constant metamorphosis of consciousness. You are not meant to arrive somewhere and stop. You are meant to keep becoming, keep shedding, keep dying to who you were so that who you are can emerge. The eikos marks the spot. As the saying goes, but what lies at that spot is not treasure in the way the world defines it. What lies there is the meeting point of release and transformation, the place where you let go and simultaneously become. Most people experience these as opposites. I must hold on to become. I must accumulate to grow. But Jesus encoded a different truth into the geometry of these lines. Becoming happens through release. The more you let go, the more you transform. The more you transform, the more you are capable of releasing. It is a spiral that moves in both directions at once. And when you learn to ride it, the Archons cannot touch you because they can only grip what is static. They can only feed on what is resisting. A soul in constant fluid transformation passes through their nets, like water through a sieve. Now we come to the fifth line, the final seal. And I need you to pay close attention here, because this is the one they guarded most carefully. This is the one that almost didn't survive. In the Nag Hammadi texts, there are fragments that speak of a hidden teaching Jesus gave only to Mary Magdalene and a small circle of inner disciples. A teaching about what happens at the moment of death, about the tunnel of light, and who is waiting on the other side, about the trick that has kept human souls recycling through this realm for thousands of years. The fifth line was a circle drawn around the entire pattern, enclosing the cross and the X in a ring of completion. And the word Jesus spoke was Heruta, freedom. This fifth line breaks the seal of the reincarnation trap. According to the Gnostic teachings, when you die, you encounter beings of light. They appear loving. They appear familiar. They might look like deceased relatives or spiritual figures you trusted in life. And they tell you that you must return, that you have lessons to learn, that karma demands you go back into the cycle. But the Gnostics warned that these beings are Archon projections. The light at the end of the tunnel is not the light of the monad. It is a harvesting mechanism, a way to wipe your memory and send you back into the game so your energy can continue feeding the system. The fifth line, the circle of Heruta, is the key to breaking this final trap. When you hold the complete pattern within your consciousness, when you know yourself as the I am, when you feel yourself as the all, when you have released attachment and embraced constant transformation, the false light cannot deceive you. You see through the projection and you make a different choice. You turn away from the tunnel. You call upon the true light of the monad and you exit the game entirely. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "The truth shall set you free." Not truth as belief, not truth as doctrine, truth as direct knowing. The 5 lines are a map of that knowing, encoded in a form simple enough to survive 2,000 years of suppression. And now they are inside you. Let me show you how to activate them. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. If you are driving or moving, just soften your gaze and let your attention turn inward. Take a breath. Let it go. Now feel the first line. The vertical beam of I am descending from above your head, through your spine, into the earth below. You are not your story. You are the awareness witnessing the story. Feel the second line. The horizontal beam of all is one extending from your heart in both directions, connecting you to every being, every star, every atom of existence. You are not separate. You never were. Feel the third line, the diagonal of release cutting through your attachments. Let go of what you are gripping. Feel your hands open inside your chest. Feel the fourth line, the diagonal of transformation crossing the first Holland. Allow yourself to become. Give yourself permission to change. And now, feel the fifth line, the circle of freedom enclosing the entire pattern. Haruta, you are complete. You are whole. No prison can hold you because you have found the door. This is the pattern Jesus left in the dust that night. The soldiers came moments later. The torches filled the garden with flickering light, and the lines were trampled, erased from the earth, as if they had never existed. But they had already served their purpose. The disciples, who were meant to see, had seen. The frequency had been transmitted, and it passed from hand to hand, scroll to scroll, whisper to whisper through the centuries, until it reached you here, now, in this moment. You might wonder why you have never heard this before, why these 5 lines are not taught in churches or written in the Bibles, found in hotel rooms around the world. The answer is simple. The Archons work through institutions. They always have. In the 4th century, when the Roman Emperor Constantine merged Christianity with state power, a great editing took place. Councils of men decided which texts were holy and which were heretical, and anything that gave individuals direct access to liberation, anything that made priests and temples unnecessary, anything that threatened the hierarchy of control was labeled dangerous and destroyed. But truth cannot be destroyed. It can only be hidden. And what is hidden always resurfaces when the time is right. The time is right. You are not hearing this by accident. Your soul made an appointment to be here long before you were born into this body. And now the appointment is being kept. What you have received tonight is not information. It is activation. The 5 lines are now traced in your consciousness. Whether you felt them or not, the vertical line of I am the horizontal line of all is 1. The diagonal of release, the diagonal of transformation, and the circle of freedom that contains them all. These are not concepts to believe in, they are frequencies to embody. And embodiment does not happen through a single listening. It happens through practice, through repetition, through coming back to this pattern again and again, until it becomes the default operating system of your being. Tonight before you sleep, I want you to do something. Find a quiet moment. It does not need to be long. Just a few minutes of stillness, and trace the 5 lines within yourself one more time. Feel them. Speak the words if you can. Anana Kulhon had Haruta. I am. All is one. Release. Transform. Freedom. Let them move through you. Let them begin the work of unsealing what has been locked for so long. In the coming days, you may notice things shifting, synchronicities, appearing old patterns, losing their grip, a strange sense of lightness in moments where you used to feel heavy. This is not coincidence. This is the pattern working. This is the frequency doing what it was designed to do 2,000 years ago. You are not alone in this. There are others like you waking up all over the world right now, finding these same truths through different doors, remembering what they forgot when they entered this realm. A network of pneumatics lighting up across the planet, like stars appearing at dusk. You are one of them. If this message resonated with something deep inside, you leave a comment below with the word Haruta. Let others who are searching know they are not alone. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. You will know who they are because their face appeared in your mind just now. Subscribe if you want to continue this journey. There is more to uncover. More lines, more keys, more doors that lead out of the labyrinth. But for tonight, you have enough. You have the complete pattern. You have the 5 seals broken. Now go practice. Remember the garden is inside you. The lines are waiting to be drawn, and the light you seek has been yours all along.